Hey all, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review. And once again, a bit of a shock statement for me here. I'm almost caught up to where I currently am watching my films, and I'm just shocked because I thought I'd have a lot more time to watch movies, and switching between my passions of watching movies and playing video games has not been a very fast thing, and the time to do it has also been not that fairly building, but I've been doing what I can, so hey, hey. But I figured what I'll do is I'll drop a quick update for you guys. If I do, however, get caught up with my films, and if I still do want to do a review for you, and I have not gotten the next film I want done and completed, what I'm going to do then is I think go into some of my TV shows, maybe even some anime, and I will drop you guys maybe a review by review of the episodes. They may not be as long as, the movies, but, I mean, that's what I'm going to do because I figured, hey, I'll maybe start adding TV to this thing too because I have a lot of good TV shows I have as a passion, and I have a ton of them over there on a shelf, thanks to me and my roommates' contributions for what we have. And if I run short, I would start liking to do TV, yeah, TV reviews. I don't know what I would do. I would maybe start with Seinfeld, maybe Smallville. I'm not sure, but I like one of those two S ideas. It's actually an idea I had for a while, but that is just a quick update. If you want to see me keep reviewing other than movies because I'm caught up, and like I told you guys before, I review what I have, what I've watched currently at the time, even though I may have watched several of these things like Rise of the Guardians several times. And on to that point, we will get to the movie, which is, as you can see, Rise of the Guardians. And basically, I have to say that this is probably my top favorite DreamWorks film. I hope they make a sequel. I really do, because this film was just so great. It was like holiday creatures meet the Avengers. I'm like, that is awesome. Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Sandman, Jack Frost, Pitch Black. It was awesome. It's a great, great movie. And ultimately, it's a movie I know that has gotten fame and has gotten great attention. And I know it's not forgotten because a lot of people seem to remember Rise of the Guardians, and it really had that great quality. And as you know, the film starts out with Jack Frost, who I believe is voiced by, I think it's Chris Pine. Chris Pine who voices Jack Frost, who basically, spoiler alert at the beginning for people who want to see this film, he's in the lake, he comes out of the lake, and he becomes Jack Frost. Now, I just remembered, I thought I had to mention what happened to him, but I don't because that's later in the film, and it's an integral part, so maybe not so much a spoiler alert, but he wakes up in a lake looking like a peasant. He's out, he's trying to wonder what's going on with him. He doesn't quite know. He sees the moon talking to him, which the moon is an integral figure in this movie. The fabled fairy tale of the man in the moon. So the man in the moon is real. He exists and is apparently telling Jack to find himself without even hearing any words, but he speaks to them directly to the mind or through feeling, which is really cool too, because I really think it was cool not to hear the man in the moon talk, but he has this figurehead of a god basically. So he's huge. He's like the overseer of all this stuff. And Jack is just trying to find out what's going on. He can do a lot of cool things with ice, a lot of cool things with snow. He's happy about it. He goes to the nearest village and sadly discovers that the villagers can't see him. They walk through him, they maybe feel a chill or something like that, but they can't see Jack or communicate with him, and vice versa. He cannot do that stuff with them. And he basically takes that to heart, and I believe it's a few, can't really remember off the top of my head, but a few hundred years later, and we go to the next bit to where we are in the North Pole, and we see this guy here, he's Santa Claus as we all know him, but in this movie he is called North. And North is a great character, one of my favorites. I mean, I basically like everybody in here, but he is one of my favorites, and he is played by Alec Baldwin, who is in an amazing role in this movie. I mean, when you watch the film a few more times, like I sort of have, you can hear how it's Alec Baldwin, but at first glance, you can really miss it. You really can't tell it's Alec Baldwin, and he does such an amazing role in this film. He adds a really good, believable Russian accent. He's very fun, very caring. He really brought a lot to the role of North, and we see North working on his toys. He's working on stuff, and he's got his elves, and the elves look really crazy in this movie. They don't do much. It's the Yetis. He has a bunch of Yetis, abominable snowmen for anyone who doesn't know the term for Yeti, working with him, and they actually make the toys, and it's really hilarious. And he's actually, just getting ready for the next part of the year because it's springtime when this movie takes place. And he then sees a black figure across the screen, and it takes the form of the villain character we'll know, who I'll mention a little later because he's actually my top favorite character in this movie, Pitch. And they know that's bad because to give a little and I'll give a little backstory on Pitch later, but Pitch is the evil character. North knows this, and North starts sending out a whole lot of different things, and basically, sorry, it's pretty simple, but messages to these guys, to the other Guardians, because I guess there's a group of Guardians that the Man in the Moon selected, and it's all these guys, Tooth, Sandman, Easter Bunny, and North. Not quite Jack Frost yet, he comes later. But he sends it out to the Sandman, and Sandman, creates a lot of Sand Dreams through Sam Webbs, who's really cool character, very nice, and he's his sand stuff and what they did with the CGI in this movie was great. We have Tooth, who is, I don't know if you saw her, sorry, she's, well, my other finger is right on it right here, oh, sorry. Well, yeah, my other finger right there, that is Tooth. She is played by Isla Fisher, and Isla Fisher actually did a very good job playing Tooth too. She's a bit over spastic, really into her work, trying to make sure all her little tooths get the job done, her little teeth, I believe she calls them, to get the jobs done of getting children's teeth. And she gets invited down. You have the Easter Bunny, who we really didn't get to see what his thing was, but he comes out of a hole in the North Pole, freezing his buns off. No pun intended there, but he comes out ready to join in the fray, and think it's Bunny. Bunny is actually played by his actual Australian voice, Hugh Jackman. So Hugh Jackman just basically being himself, not like Wolverine or any of his other American-like counterparts. He's actually being his Australian self, which I think is really, really cool in the movie, just hearing him use Australian slang and everything else. And he really is a fun character. And in many ways, I look at Bunny as being like the watered down version of Wolverine if he were an animal. So that's what's awesome about Hugh Jackman just playing Bunny. And they come together and they start to, North tells them what's going on. Nobody's ready to believe that it was Pitch they saw across the screen, ready to spread evil across the world. Nobody wants to believe it because, Pitch obviously would be a big deal. They know he hasn't had a lot of power since Man in the Moon messed with his darkness and the Dark Ages and nightmares, which I'll get to that again. And they're trying to really get things together to find a way to stop Pitch because they have no ideas yet. The Man in the Moon actually tries to communicate with them, which Sandy, through hilarious means, brings to their attention, and they look up and they actually communicate with Man in the Moon. Man in the Moon tells them that he's going to give them a new member, and a lot of them are basically thinking it's maybe the Leprechaun or a few. I think they've dropped a few others, can't really remember them all. Bunny does not want it to be the Groundhog, which it's sort of funny hearing him say please not the groundhog, please not the groundhog, please not the groundhog. You know, just hearing him just beg not to be the groundhog. And, you know, it picks Jack Frost, once again, played by Chris Pine. And, you know, like, Bunny isn't too thrilled. You know, Tooth is actually pretty happy. North is always accepting, being like almost the charismatic leader of the group. Sandy seems fine with it. And, you know, we go to a scene where, you know, Jack Frost, like, he gives snow days. He loves to play with kids. He loves to try to be believed in. You know, he does everything for kids in snow days and for people basically who like snow. But, you know, he goes through this whole problem of still not being seen after these hundreds of years. And, you know, he's just doing his thing. He actually gets abducted by North's Yetis and by Bunny. He's brought to the North Pole. He doesn't, you know, understand, you know, what's going on. He knows that Pitch is coming into it. And that, you know, he basically just doesn't care. Like, he wants to do his own thing. He's like, why does it involve me? You know, Man in the Moon has not done anything for me yet. Why does it involve me? Why does the Man in the Moon care? How does any of this stack up? So it bugs him, but, you know, he goes along for the ride, and we learn as it continues that Pitch is actually, you know, turning Sandy's dreams into nightmares to gain power. He's really getting the kids, the children, probably even also the people of the world, if they believe in any of these, you know, creatures, still to forget about them by turning nightmare or dreams into nightmares. And also, basically, he also kidnaps the little teeth from Tooth and is stealing all the children's memories, which have a very big importance, which actually plays a huge importance on the kids in this movie, as well, believe it or not, is an integral part for Jack Frost. Because I guess Jack Frost has no memory of what happened to him or how he got there, and, you know, we learn through the actual fairy tale characters that North, Tooth, Bunny, Sandy, they were all, at one point, real people or real animals. And that was intriguing to me, too, that all these people came from actual things. They weren't just created as they are. They were picked by the Man in the Moon, maybe when tragedy struck, maybe when it didn't, but they were picked by the Man in the Moon to be what they are today as these legendary characters. And I thought that was really cool. And now to get on to Pitch, who I keep mentioning, but I haven't really explained who voices him or what he does. But Pitch, first of all, is beautifully, beautifully voiced by Jude Law. And if anyone knows, like, Jude Law's narrations or good guy characters, or heck, even the villains he's played over the years, which he originally was always a villainous actor. He didn't get into playing heroes and things like that until, like, I think the middle part of his current career, but he mostly ended up playing villains. Like, he was always like a villainous actor, like how Gary Oldman started out. And with Pitch, you know, he just has a great way of playing the character, being delightfully evil. Also, because when I get to the part of the story here, you know, he'll even be a tragic villain, sympathetic in many ways too. Because what happens is you know, during the days before the Guardians were there was Pitch. Like, Pitch may have been the very first one, and he was ruling people through the Dark Ages, through fear, through famine. Like, he kept, I guess you could say, in order that way. And when, you know, Man in the Moon said, okay, that's enough, I don't want this anymore, we need to get a positive role going here again, he basically makes the people believe in the Guardians. Like, he sends Bunny, Tooth, North, Sandy, and you could maybe possibly even lump Jack Frost in that category too, all throughout the world to bring joy to people. And of course, the main thing, children. And, you know, Pitch sees this, he's not happy, he doesn't like how that happens. And what happens is that, you know, Pitch basically tries to scare kids, but he can't, and it just bugs him because nobody believes in him anymore. Nobody believes in Pitch. Now, the other thing that you could say, the true thing that Pitch is people say, well, Pitch is just nightmares. The other thing that they drop of Pitch is, you know, the old form of the boogeyman who, if you do bad things, if you show a lot of fear, the boogeyman will come to get you out from underneath your bed. And I guess that's where they say the boogeyman hides now, is underneath beds. So I guess you could say that Pitch is the almost take on the boogeyman, I guess, from what they try to make in the film. So possibly he could be that character. But, you know, he's tired of hiding. He's tired of basically not having any power. And also, this is the integral point, which makes you feel a little sympathetic for him. I want to tell you his whole story, because I believe I could get it right. Maybe I can't, but he wants to be believed in. Similar to how Jack Frost cannot be believed in. And he knows a pain of what Jack Frost has been into, and he tries to use that to his advantage. He's just delightfully evil. You know, he plays on Jack Frost's mind as well as the other minds in the film, and he just wants his control again. But more importantly, besides his control, he wants to be believed in. And when you just hear Jude Law explain his entire plan throughout the film, it's like you do really feel bad for him, because he's lost everything. I mean, he literally has nothing. And once again, you know he's evil, you know he's bad, but you feel bad for this guy, because, I mean, granted, fear, you know, as much as we say we don't want to have fears, and we don't want to be afraid of anything, you know, like the dark, or, you know, like any actual fears, spiders, syringes, anything that we fear, we all have our fears. But in this story, it's like fears are real, but Pitch can only latch on to it a little bit, as where it used to be worldwide contagion for him, and he could get a lot. So, you know, no one hardly believes in him, and he just wants to be believed. And like I said, I can't do it justice here in this video, but he just truly wants to be believed in again. And Jude Law just plays Pitch so well. And I mean, overall, you know, the movie Rise of the Guardians just has that Avengers vibe. Like, it's here throughout the entire movie. Like, you basically could hear elements of the Avengers. You could sort of hear it in Alexander, shoot. Oh yeah, Desplat. There we go. I had to look at the back of the name here. But Alexander Desplat's music, you hear it really well. And it's actually based off a book. Let's see. I think they have the book on here. I think. Or maybe they. Wow. Okay, no, they don't. I thought they did, but I know for a fact it's based off of a book, similar to Shrek. And you know, it's like, it's cool that they got this idea from a book and that they did it more. And also, once again, much like Kung Fu Panda, you had Guillermo del Toro. I think Guillermo del Toro was, yeah, he was one of the executive producers instead of just creative consultants for Rise of the Guardians, or Kung Fu. Well, for Kung Fu Panda, he was creative consultant. For Rise of the Guardians here, he was an executive producer. And you can see how his creativity definitely reflects in this film. Because, you know, I mean, Guillermo del Toro is really a creative genius. And you can really see it in this film. It's just awesome. And I mean, overall, you know, fantastic CGI, great cartoon work. The characters are drawn beautifully. Once again, great music, great score. The story really can hit home for anybody who's believed in these creatures or the natural order of these things over the years. Because in many ways, I'll admit, I'm 30 years old and I still believe. I mean, I know once again, these types of things don't, you know, for any kids watching this, if you're about to watch this, I urge not to, because I don't want to spoil this for you. So if you're a kid, you know, turn off now and just, like, stop the review, because I'll just say right now, this film's good, 10 out of 10, you know, awesome stuff. So before I say this bit, you know, just stop it now, because I don't want to spoil your dreams if you are a kid watching this. But basically with this, you know, we know that these guys don't exist, but the idea of them, a spirit of them, if you get my idea, exists. Like, it really does. There's always something magical that makes our holidays, or belief in the Tooth Fairy, or this or that magical. Like, what we do makes it magical. How we go about it makes it magical. And you know, once again, you can look at it as anything. Forces of nature, angels, whatcha, and once again, not trying to turn this into a religious thing, but once again, it makes you believe in what these characters stand for. It even makes you believe that the possibility of things like pitch, because once again, you know, there's times at night where I look down a dark corridor and it's like, I don't want to go down there, but you know, sometimes you got to go down there. You know, face your fears, but know that those fears are always going to be there. So once again, the idea of pitch is real. All those things are real, and it brings your beliefs to home. That's what I love about Rise of the Guardians, and you know, what is the most awesome thing with this movie. So overall, this movie is just great. You know, once again, to all the DreamWorks pictures I've owned so far, nothing against any of the others that I've reviewed, but this one is my favorite by far, just because of the idea, how it's like, you know, a children's Avengers movie, and just, you know, everything in general. A lot of thought and time went into this, and it is a great movie. You know, once again, great acting on top of that. Once again, Jude Law is Pitch. Jude Law, if you watch this at all, I just want to let you know you are awesome. You are a great Pitch. You were just wonderful in the movie. The rest of you were wonderful too. So, you know, just, it's a great film. And I would urge you guys to watch them. Once again, you know, 10 out of 10. I would say, you know, just a great, great film. You know, nothing that hardly disappoints. You know what I mean? Yeah, for a children's film, you can point out the errors like CinemaSin. And if you want to do that for fun, cool. But for an overall, just to enjoy a movie, it's a great, great film. And you know what? Let me know what you guys thought. You know, do you like Rise of the Guardians? Do you think it was too much like the Avengers? Do you think that was the wrong thing to go for? You know, just let me know what you guys think about Rise of the Guardians. You know, leave a comment or anything that you like, and you know, hey, I'll still be doing that because, you know, hey, I mean, I'm here having fun doing what I do, and I love making these things go out to you guys. So until then, once again, this is 012 Boku, and I will see you guys later with another movie and, or as you now know, TV review. See ya.